Okay, everybody, we are live. This week is Parshas
Ki Savo.
Parshas Ki Savo. Ilya, good job. And
Thank you.
this week we are going to talk about people who never die, purses with never-ending gold, shape-shifting rocks, and much more. Let's get into it. All right.
Welcome back, everybody. Please smash that like button. Subscribe, and hopefully you find these videos informative and
entertaining.
That's right. Take us away.
All right, let's do it. So Parshas Ki Savo. Like this. The Torah starts off with, what's the first mitzvah? Do you know? I'm not holding this against you if you don't know.
Go for it.
The first mitzvah is talking about Bikurim.
Mm-hmm.
Talks about when you come into Eretz Yisrael, it says that you should take the beginning of your fruits, right, the first fruits that were grown, and you take it to the Beis HaMikdash, you bring it to the Kohen, right? Now, we're going to talk about the first pasuk a little bit. We'll talk about Bikurim a little bit later and how we can do Bikurim nowadays, even though we don't have a Beis HaMikdash, what we can do that's considered Bikurim. Mm-hmm. But I just want to talk about the idea of the word. The first words is Ki Savo, right? And there's music outside which is really distracting me.
Part of living in Brooklyn.
Yeah, part of New York City. But as Ilya likes to say, it's the Yetzer Hara. That's all it is. Anyway, so the Baal HaTurim brings down that if you take... Why do you have
we're in
to
war, always. That's why.
Okay, for the third time. Parshas Ki Savo, right? Savo, the word Savo, if you rearrange it, it has the same letters as Avos, which means their fathers, the forefathers. Now, it says in the Zohar that when people, it says that the pasuk Yismach Yisrael ba'esav. It's actually one of the 12 psukim that the Rebbe was he strongly encouraged that the children should say, and that all Chabad kids know by heart. Yismach Yisrael ba'esav is the last one. You probably grew up saying it, right? Yeah. So. The Yismach Yisrael ba'esav. But it says ba'esav, the Jewish people should be happy, should be joyous over his or its makers. It doesn't say ba'esai, doesn't say with its maker, it says esav, plural, but there's only one creator. So there explains that it's also including his makers on earth. Who's a person's maker on earth?
His physical makers are his parents.
Exactly, his parents. So in other words, he's saying that when there's a simcha, when there's a happy and joyous occasion, the parents actually come down from Gan Eden. Hashem brings them down from Gan Eden and brings them down. Now, this Reb Zev Zicherman, who is the author of the sefer I learned from, you read Zeresh Shimshon, I do Eitzer Place Atera. But he wants to suggest that this is connected. That the word Savai, Avos, coming down, right? Ki Savai el haaretz, when you come to the land, it's saying, in other words, that when there are happy times, that they come el haaretz. Because it says V'haya Ki Savai. V'haya, that language, that terminology, it refers to happiness. But there are some words that it's talking about, times of hardship and severity. And V'haya is one of those things which are normally talking about happy times. So V'haya, in happy times, Ki Savo el haaretz, the Avos, the fathers come down to the earth. But he brings something very interesting, which this is what we're talking about. We mentioned that people who never die. That Rabbeinu Bachya brings down that, for example, it says that Yaakov Avinu Yaakov Avinu never passed away. And the Gemara asks, what do you mean?
There was a burial. There was everything that was going on.
What did they ask? They mummified him. So they say Mazar B'chaim Afu B'chaim, but he's saying is that actually, and also in the Gemara it says that Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi, after he passed away, would come down every Shabbos, every Friday night, and make kiddush for his family. Now, to make kiddush for your family, you have to be chayiv in mitzvahs. You have to be in a physical body.
Right.
So he's saying Rabbeinu Bachya brings an incredible chiddush, which is that there are actually the really, really, really holy people, like once in a generation. They're on such a level of holiness that their soul doesn't just go back to their source and that's it, but they actually are able to travel between worlds. And there is a body, aside from the body that is buried, it's physical, but it's much more refined. And they can come down when they want. Sometimes they'll come down once a week, sometimes they'll come down once a year. The language that he brings down is either from Shabbos to Shabbos or from Yom Kippur to Yom Kippur, whatever it is. But that is so, and he says that basically that. So Reb Zev Zichron wants to suggest that there's also another thing that actually that in our times of happiness that actually there are people who can come down physically. And what else did he mention? There's a whole long thing, but he says that those who want to see him can see him. That he's hidden, which is crazy, which is such a crazy and this is Rabbeinu Bachya, like this is standard, everyone accepts Rabbeinu Bachya, but people don't know about this.
Could I ask you to expand on something that you threw out that I didn't know about?
Yeah, for sure.
So you mentioned that Yaakov was mummified?
Yeah, they did mummify Yaakov's body.
Who?
The Egyptians.
Actually, Yosef did that on purpose.
Yosef was okay.
Yosef was in charge of the whole thing, and he made sure that his father's body would be mummified, because to bring him to the cave where he was supposed to be buried is a long journey from Egypt. I believe they were no. Where did they stay? They stayed in Egypt. There was a place where all the Jews stayed.
In Goshen.
Goshen, there you go. From Goshen all the way to the cave was a very long time, weeks of traveling. So they had to mummify his body. He did it mainly not because he was afraid that it was going to smell or anything like that. He knew he was a tzaddik. None of that would have happened to him. He did this for the goys, for the Egyptians to see that, to kind of...
Because it was only for the special people to get mummified?
No, it's not because of special people. It's to show that his body is not starting the decomposing. And there was no smell or anything like that happening from his body because he was a tzaddik. So, but he didn't want the Mitzrayim to see that and to understand and fully understand and see that there's a miracle that happens with big tzaddikim. They don't decompose. That's why he had to mummify them in Egypt, so they know, right, to conceal the fact that this is happening to our tzaddikim.
Okay, interesting.
There was something very interesting that happened when he came to the land. Esav and his children, who were princes, they greeted him, and they greeted him on the way. And instead of starting a war or any problems, they all gave him a lot of respect, and they all took off their crowns and they put it on his casket.
Yeah,
and I believe there was 36 crowns on that casket. And that 36 is a significant number for something else. I don't recall what it was, but the 36 princes put their crowns on his casket.
Last week we spoke about 36 kids in 3 years.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that's connected, but yeah,
I'm just messing around. No, so guys, I just want to... We have a guest here this week. I think we need a camera pointed over there.
Oh, yes. Come, introduce yourself. Of course.
Hello, guys.
Here, come.
Give us your name.
One second here. It's right here.
New friend of what's your name again?
Eliyahu.
Eliyahu. Oh, that's a whole name.
Thank you.
Good to be here. It's definitely good to be
here. Yes, definitely good to have you here.
Thank you.
All right. So, what were we saying? Anyway, yeah, that was a very interesting tidbit. Now,
Feel free to ask more questions.
Definitely will.
on the so it talks about the pasuk talks about bikurim. So something very interesting about bikurim, that there are ways that there's things that are symbolic or considered as if you bring bikurim. One of those things is actually the bracha of hamaitzi.
Okay.
Now it says in Maseches Sanhedrin that you're supposed to, when you cut the bread, where are you supposed to cut it from? Where are you supposed to break it off from? So there's different opinions or terminologies of what you're supposed to do it. I think Rashi says that they all mean the same thing, but the point is, one of the things that's brought down is the place that's the most well done, which is the part that started baking first. So that explains why you're supposed to cut it there, because if making the bracha of hamaitzi is like bikurim, then where do you start bikurim from? Where do you bring bikurim of? From the beginning.
Right. Of
So
course.
therefore, you break off the part that's the beginning of the making of the bread.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Right? Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that also, I thought you were going to like that, because you love talking about the power of a bracha.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of connections. Everything is symbolic, because we don't have the Beit HaMikdash anymore. So a lot of the things we do are represented by the words we say and the things we do.
Yeah. Now we have God gave us ways to connect to Him, even though we don't have the Beit HaMikdash.
But it also shows how powerful the word, how powerful the whole thing with speech is. Speech is very powerful. Anything we say, we are supposed to hold by it.
Yeah, words are not just words. That's definitely true. Yeah. And the Torah brings down actually that when you make a bracha on the bread, you're supposed to put all your 10 fingers on the bread. Why are you supposed to do that? Because there's 10 mitzvahs that have to do with bread. And it's brought down. There's challah, right? To take challah. There's I think maybe truma, whatever it is. But there's 10 different ones, and one of them is bikurim. So again, he brings that down, and that shows, another place where we see, another source where we see that bracha of hamaitzi, amongst other things, is connected to bikurim. Now, what's very interesting is, and I want to read the comments. Mendy's on, my brother.
Okay.
So he says that the parsha starts with the mitzvah of kriya on bikurim, to say there's something you're supposed to say when bringing bikurim. Just the call out, you say, "Hey, I brought the bikurim," whatever the lashon of the pasuk is. Thank you for that correction. And Mendy also asked, when is this body? He means the body of the tzaddik. When is the second body made? It's a very good question. I don't know the answer to that. I don't work here. I just do
I'm just delivering the message.
I just do the research.
Okay.
But the funny thing is that, where do we know this from? Where do we know that that's where you're supposed to get it from? It's actually from King Menashe.
Okay.
And King Menashe was, for a big part of his life, he was actually a wicked person.
Okay.
He was a Rasha. He actually put Avodah Zarah in the Beis Hamikdash. He did some really horrible stuff. And the whole story how he was captured and he davened to Hashem and he was saved. And I think he did tshuva. And he he fixed his ways, I believe. But the story of the Gemara that's brought down is very interesting. Basically, because they were wicked, so Rav Ashi, who was one of the Amiram at the time of the Gemara, he was talking. He told his students, tomorrow we're going to talk about our friends. Who was he referring to? 3 wicked kings: Achav, Yeravam, and Menashe. He called them their friends because if, let's say, he would be talking about David HaMelech, who lived generations before and was a giant, or any other king who was a tzaddik, it's disrespectful to call them our friends. Because they were wicked, he said, we're going to talk about our friends, like our buddies.
Hold on, Yerovam was Shlomo Melech's son?
No, Yerovam...
No. But that was the time of Shlomo Melech's son's time.
Correct. Yeah, it was around... Yeah,
that was when the government, when the people split up.
Correct. Yeah.
10 Shefatim went with him, and the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he was the beginning of the split. I don't remember exactly, but I think you're right.
Okay. Okay.
And so that night, Rav Ashi had a dream.
Mm-hmm.
The king Menashe came to him in a dream and said, "Why are you calling?" Again, I'm paraphrasing. This is, "Why do you call us Chavereinu? What makes you think you're on my level? Do you know where you're supposed to cut the bread?" He says, "No." He says, "You don't know where to cut the bread, and you're calling me your friend?" And he told him where you're supposed to cut the bread. So,
I know what you're talking about. I think I know what you're talking about. He criticized him. He said, "How is it that a great king like him, at his time, could do avodah zarah?"
He said,
"How could he possibly?" And then he said, "If you lived in my time, not only would you walk, you would pick up your robe and you would run to do it."
Exactly.
Because the urge, the want to do avodah zarah was so strong at that time.
Correct.
It was stronger than being with a woman.
It was the same thing. Yeah.
Almost, yes. But at that time, it was so strong. Now we don't have it because all the tzaddikim came together. They said the right things to bring it down. But then they woke up the next morning and they also saw that.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's talk. I'm saying let's say it properly. If you want to say it.
Yeah, of course.
You can say a story, but say it.
No. Tell the story.
Anyway, the dream.
You got more details. Go for it.
The dream was like this.
Uh-huh.
So he said, if you're such a Talmid Chacham like you mentioned, then how can you serve over there? So he said, you don't understand the Yetzer Hara that there was.
Mm-hmm.
If you were in their times, you would, like you said, you would pick up your hem just in order to get to serve Avodah Zarah faster. Now the reason that this happened was because the reason why we don't feel this urge anymore, we don't understand it, is because of how detrimental the Yetzer Hara of both Avodah Zarah and in general women was. The Rabbanim prayed for it to go away.
So they diminished the urge.
Exactly. But the problem was, people weren't serving Avodah Zarah, but the urge of cohabiting, of marital relations was so absent that even the chickens weren't laying eggs.
Mm-hmm.
So they realized that that this is even though it's a very strong Yetzer Hara, but it's there for a purpose, right? Because people will get married, right? People weren't happy, so, and without it, people wouldn't get married. So they brought that back, but they didn't bring back the Avodah Zarah. So and I think I don't know if I'm saying this appropriately. I don't know if I'm quoting it correctly, but I think it says that from then on, the Satan is blind in one eye, or so the Yetzer Hara is blind in one eye, right? Because so we don't understand it. But if you want to just understand what the urge of Avodah Zarah was, just like the reason why why someone wants to be with a woman, right? The urge for women is just as is very inexplicable, and then you could say whatever you want. It's inexplicable. Can't explain why you want it. Same thing for Avodah Zarah. If you want to see something which is similar to that, imagine you had the same urge for Avodah Zarah. It would be very hard to hold back. So you could understand the level of discipline and self-control that people had to have in order not to serve Avodah Zarah. And thank God we don't have that urge nowadays. Although there are, on a more spiritual plane, there are many things that can be considered Avodah Zarah, like anger and like money, things that basically take you away from remembering that God is in charge. That is, in a sense, deviating from faith in God, which can be considered not real Avodah Zarah, but definitely, at least in a spiritual, in a very, very refined way, some kind of Avodah Zarah, or akin to Avodah Zarah.
Right. So getting angry, or a person that gets very angry and gets out of control, is considered a person who's doing Avodah Zarah.
Right, and the reason for that is because if you believe everything comes from God, then there's nothing to be angry about. Which means that you get angry, it's because you think that there's another force that governs the world, which is Avodah Zarah. That's idol worship. That's
Yes.
it's heresy. Okay.
But where else do we see such an example where all the tzaddikim had to come down and to calm something down, and then they overdid it and then they had to bring it back? There was a perfect example where
$10?
King David. King David found a place where the Beit HaMikdash was supposed to be built, but there was a huge stone that was there. And he had to move the stone. And people around the town told him, don't move the stone. There's a geyser of water that will come out of there, a huge spring, and you won't be able to stop it. He said, no, Beit HaMikdash has to be built here. So he moves that rock, and surely water starts coming out to a point where it flooded. It flooded the whole thing. And he had an advisor. What was his name? Achitophel. So this advisor, by the way, there's a Gemara that says he doesn't have a Olam Haba. He's one of the people that will not be reincarnated. Achitophel. So because King David says, if there's somebody that knows and keeps quiet, may he never have Olam Haba. But because a tzaddik already said it, it's going to happen. So Achitophel got scared and he says, I know a way. There is a way. There's a kameh they had to write with Hashem's name and they had to throw it in there. And that was the only time it's allowed because King David knew about it, but he was skeptical because he was afraid to erase Hashem's name. He knows it's a big sin to do so. So therefore, he needed Achitophel's approval because Achitophel knew that it's allowed to do because it was for a better sake.
He needed a heter.
Right. So they did that. And because they did that, water went all the way into the ground to a point where they couldn't reach the water. They had to bring it back up. So all the tzaddikim got together and they kind of overdid it. So the water went all the way into the ground.
Wow.
And now they had to pray to bring it back up. So they brought it back up. I think, I don't quote me on these numbers, but I think it was something like 110 tefachim into the ground. That was too low. And then they had to bring it up. I think they brought it up by like 33 or something like that. Where it was they were just able to reach barely. One of the reasons why Israel, the land of Israel, doesn't have a lot of water. Because we can't tap into that water.
Nah, that's why?
That's one of the reasons, yes.
Nah.
Of course, we can't take all these things directly. But that's one of the reasons why land of Israel has scarce water.
Man, now they figured out how to turn air
I'm
into
sure
water.
they did. They know how to desalinate now.
Saying I think they figured out a way to take make water out of the air.
You're talking about the fog.
That's some of the smartest inventions.
Yeah.
They have a lot of things now. They're very innovative.
Yeah, very cool stuff. Okay, another thing about Bikurim, it says that you can. It says like this. Where does it? I forgot where it's. I think it's in the Gemara, but I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. Somebody who brings a gift to a Talmid Chacham is like he brought Bikurim, which means that if you bring your actual Bikurim, meaning now you can't bring it to Eretz Yisrael, you can't bring it to the Beis Hamikdash, you can't give it to a Kohen, but if you take your first fruits and you bring it to a kohen, you give him to eat from the fruits and to make a bracha on it. So what you're doing is you're bringing actual bikurim to a Talmid Chacham. You're giving him a gift, which is considered like bikurim. So that's like the closest thing you could get to actually bringing bikurim.
So he has to be Talmid Chacham and a kohen?
No. Bringing to a Talmid Chacham is like bringing bikurim. But and there's actually a nus. It's brought down in a sefer. There's a whole nusach like a hiratzanik. It should be Hashem's will that this should be considered like bikurim because it says whoever brings a gift to a Talmid Chacham is like bikurim. It's like a whole thing. It's like a prayer that you say. It was very, very interesting.
Wow. That makes sense. So sponsoring a Talmid Chacham or somebody who's learning Torah would be considered the same thing, giving a gift.
Yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hot stuff, huh? And Baruch Hashem. So now we have another way to do another mitzvah. Now we know another way to do the mitzvah, right? So now we're going to talk about just some different things from the Parsha. And one of the things it says, right, that Moshe Rabbeinu was commanded by Hashem to write the Torah, and the Gemara says that it was in 70 languages. So, but it also says afterwards that when they go into Eretz Yisrael, they're supposed to bring stones as well. And in Sefer Yeshua, when they actually did that, it says that they brought it from where they were to where they were staying, and they brought rocks all the way from the distance was about 60 mil, which is like, it's a good distance. It's serious traveling.
Okay.
But they're huge rocks, so it's very interesting. It says that they actually changed their size. They became small and then became bigger afterwards. And there's actually a hint for this in the pasuk, because it says that when you go there, you should take big rocks. It says gedolos. Gedolos means big, but the word gedolos, between the daled and the lamed, normally there's a vav, gadol, but it's not. It's missing the vav, which is a hint that they weren't always big, that they actually changed their size. It was a big miracle. And there's a whole list of miracles that happened on the day when the Jews went into Eretz Yisrael, where the Yarden went down. There's a whole bunch of miracles. One of them was that these rocks became smaller.
Okay.
You know, it's like, put it in your pocket, take it out.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, the question is, what was actually written on these stones? Not the stones, there were a bunch of stones, first of all. There was the ones that Moshe Rabbeinu wrote on. There was the one that they put inside the Yarden, and there were the stones they took out of the Yarden to put once they got on the other side. But the ones that Moshe Rabbeinu wrote on, what was actually written on them? There's a bunch of different opinions. The Ramban brings down that it was the entire Torah, from Bereshis until the Einei Kol Yisrael, from the beginning to the end.
On the stones?
Yeah.
Okay.
So imagine doing that in 70 languages.
Now, we're not talking about the tablets.
No, not on the
Okay.
luchais.
Okay.
On these stones that were meant to be written then.
Okay.
And there's actually, and I think it's it says that it was actually done with the crowns. It was written down with the crowns. That you look in the Sefer Torah, you see crowns. I actually prepared a picture, but I'm having a hard time bringing it up over here.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The little crowns.
Some were every word has a point at the end, but some of them also have the little crowns that come out, little spikes that come out that look like crowns. So it says it was written down with that. The Even Ezra brings down that, I think in the name of Reb Sadia going, that was the mitzvahs. All the mitzvahs, all the 613 mitzvahs were written down. Another opinion is that it was the just Sefer Dvarim.
Okay.
I think the Meiri brings it down. It's just Sefer Dvarim, the Mishnah Torah.
But
right?
that would make so much more sense.
Because it's smaller.
Right. What is Devarim? That whole chapter
is
basically
recap.
Summarization of the whole Torah. That's why it said that if you go through the whole Devarim, it's as if you went through the whole Torah.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we have groups in our shul. Every Shabbos, we go through the whole Devarim. The whole thing.
Yeah, man. That's nice. It's a cool thing to do.
So is Tehillim.
Tehillim is very powerful.
Yeah.
Tehillim moves mountains.
Everything that comes from Torah is very powerful.
Yeah.
Everything.
Correct. Do Torah mitzvahs, basically.
That's right.
The fourth option is that actually think the Sefer Tzioni is written by Reb Menachem and Reb Meir Tzion. He says that there are Mikubal and there are Kabbalists that say that they wrote the Ten Commandments, Aser Shadibros. That was written on it. But again, in the pasuk it says write the entire Torah, right?
Okay.
It says Kol HaTorah Zeh. So, but because all the mitzvahs are included in the Ten Commandments, so therefore it's
as if
counted.
you wrote the whole thing. Okay.
And the fifth one, which is very interesting, is brought to him by the Ksav and the Sefer is called Haksav HaKabbalah. Compliments of the street. You have some music. Please don't copyright it.
We don't want to get kicked
It
off.
was less than 2 seconds or whatever the rule is, right?
Is that how it works?
I don't know, but yeah, even if you have music playing in the background,
Yeah.
they'll make problems for you.
Really? They'll take down the whole.
It's happened to me,
Yeah.
My fitness page.
Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah, some of these rules are tough, but you know what? It protects artists. I like that. You know.
That's true.
The last one brought down by the Ksav by Haksav HaKabbalah is Shema and V'hayim Shemaya. That we say every single day. Pasuk it talks about to love God and to not go against God. That's what was written down, and it's very interesting. I think he brings down himself the Ksav HaKabbalah that because that's talking about Hashem's oneness, that's what makes the most sense. Because it's written down in the Gemara that the whole reason why Moshe Rabbeinu wrote it down in 70 languages was not for us. I don't know, if not that it was not for us, but it was for the nations.
Of course, yes.
So the nations weren't commanded all the 613 mitzvahs. So this kind of goes well. This goes well with the idea that it was for the nations, because these two parshias of Shema and V'haya are talking about God's oneness, and that's really the main thing that the nations are commanded to believe in, the oneness of God. Now, I just wanted to talk about an interesting story, and then you said you had something to talk about, right? You wanted to...
No, go for it.
No, I'll say afterwards.
I'll add something. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
As always, though.
Yeah. You always add. Yeah, true.
Thank God. Thank God.
You add just by being here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
But there's a story. It says, "Yitzav Hashem es habracha ba'asamecha." God should command that there should be blessing in your. I think asamecha means your storehouses. But from here, the Chachamim learned that the bracha, to really have a bracha, the blessing in something, it's something when I think Eina bracha shoyre el al hadavar hasamim in ha'ayin. I don't know if that's the exact words, but things that are hidden from the eye.
Mm-hmm.
There's a story to illustrate this that Eliyahu Navi there was once a poor children bring good mazel. Okay, so afterwards, yeah.
Yes.
Is this the same story?
Yeah, same story.
With the gold?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
The gold?
Yeah.
So say.
Go for it.
Please,
Go
I
for
want
it,
you
go
to
for
say
it.
because you have it.
You
in the
got
book.
more details. Go.
No,
I'll add. Don't worry. Keep going.
I'm curious to hear your version because I already know. You say.
Go for it.
Say it because I want to hear your version.
So the fruits of your womb will be blessed, and the fruits of your land, and the fruits of your animals, the offspring of your cattle, and the herds of your flocks. Blessed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl.
Kneading bowl. Oh. Okay, fine. Oh, batene, right? Tanacha mishatecha. Okay, yeah, fine.
So the whole point of this, what it's trying to explain is that your blessings come from your home, from the home that you're building, and your kids bring more mazel, whether you like it or not.
By the way, the Rebbe was very, very strong. People who doing family planning, right? You only have a certain budget, only have a certain amount of kids. The Rebbe said you got it all wrong. The more kids you have, the more blessings you're going to have.
That's right. So that's what it was talking about. It was talking about that your gold and your riches and everything that comes into your life comes to your life thanks to the blessings that you're bringing into this world, which is new neshamot, new kids, more kids. And the bigger the family, the more mazel and more simchas and you will have in the family. And you will have more blessings. The smaller the family, the smaller the blessings that are going around in your house. That's what I got from this.
Okay.
So the more kids you have, the more blessings you have.
Yeah, definitely. That's what we just said.
Right. But you go ahead with the story.
What's the story?
Go for it.
Okay, I don't know.
I'm not gonna steal your thunder.
You're not stealing my thunder.
Go for it.
I'm on the camera for too long. Okay, whatever.
There's a time limit?
No time limit. So Eliyahu Navi, I think there was a very poor shoemaker, right? He was a shoemaker, I think.
I believe so, yeah.
And he...
Tailor, no. Yeah, okay, sure.
Maybe he was a tailor.
I think tailor.
Yeah, I think he was a tailor, yeah. Whatever, someone who, and I don't know, what was it that led to him, Eliyahu Navi coming to him? He was having a hard time, he had a hard life.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, Eliyahu Navi came to him, I guess he was worthy for some reason, and he gave him a bag, a purse of golden coins, and he said, "This is going to last." I don't know if he told him. He said, "You are not allowed." Man, we need a soundproof blankets over here.
Last episode, you were talking about a war. This is part of the war.
Yeah, I guess.
Gotta concentrate. You're in a war.
So the bag was gonna last.
What?
The bag of coins was gonna last this guy, the tailor.
Sorry, yeah. So the bag. Thank you for reminding me.
No matter how much he spent. Yeah, keep going.
So basically, he said like this: "This is the rules. You never count what's in the bag, and you'll be able to take out as much as you want." I think he would take out 10 coins a day.
Mm-hmm. Exactly what he needed for the family.
Yeah. No. I don't know, whatever it was. He took out 10 golden coins a day. Mm-hmm. And he became rich very, very quickly. And they had piles and piles of gold. And he didn't tell his wife about the secret. Big mistake. You have to tell your wife. Otherwise, you're going to see what would happen.
He's only saying this because his wife is watching it.
I was about to say my wife is going to be very happy.
Hey, I have to be the devil's advocate here. Somebody has to do it.
It's all good. It's all good. I was about to say that my wife is going to be very happy to hear this. But anyway, but so he had this chest, this treasure chest. He had a key, and he would always hide the bag in there. He didn't give the key to anyone. Now his wife got curious, so one time when he wasn't looking, she got a hold of the key. She opens, and people were wondering how this guy got rich so quickly. Like this guy, I don't know, doesn't have any new business. This guy just rich, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Found the goose that lays the golden eggs.
Yeah.
And she goes and she sees all that's in this treasure chest is one small purse of golden coins. It's like, I don't understand. She goes to her husband, or if she counts it, she goes to her husband and says, I don't understand. Why are you hiding this from me? When you give me so much more money. Like you're giving me oodles and oodles of money.
Why a small bag?
Why are you holding this? And this only has 200 coins. And he tells her, look me, like he claps his hands in frustration. He says, you don't know what you just did. We're not going to be able to know. Yeah, we're not able to know. And that's what happened. After 20 days, he took every single day 10 coins out. There was no more. Now, obviously, it's not the worst thing that ever happened because he still was very rich, Mm-hmm. But you see that it's brought down many things. That for a bracha, you keep things hidden. That's where the bracha lies. Mm-hmm.
So the moral of the story, which one is looking at me?
Right now, you're looking right there.
Moral of the story is, wives, when you get good gifts, don't question it. Let the man be. Let the man be. It's a joke, guys.
The moral was,
yeah. Don't question it. Just let it be.
I'll say. I think. I know you're just joking, but I just want to say. I think every single story has there's always two sides. Like everyone could always be a little bit better at doing their part, right? Okay. The wife could have not been so curious, and the husband could have told his wife. Right.
That would have been the safest thing to tell his wife.
Right. But there's also the idea of, respecting boundaries, and if someone doesn't want something to be known, probably, there's trust. Trust is very important. And anyway, this is not a marriage counseling show, so...
Well, I think, it's all a matter of perspective, of course, but I think here, Emunah was tested. Both on his part and on her part.
Well, I think he passed the test, he did it.
Once again, matter of perspective. If he had the right Emunah, he would have shared it with his wife. He wouldn't have faced this problem.
Maybe he should have trusted that his wife would have the same,
but
believe him
and
would have the
fact
same.
that he didn't trust to let her know also led her to mistrust him and check what's going on.
True.
So once again, it's a two-way street.
True.
It's all a matter of perspective.
Pearls of wisdom from Ilya.
Thank you.
Okay. I think that's all I got this week. But I want to first look at the comments, then I want you to tell me. You said there's a really moving story.
Yes, in Zerah Shimshon, I've heard a story about a man that was...
What was it? You want to read the comments first, or...
Go for it.
Yeah,
yes, of course.
Okay, so, Azeh. Let's look. Even to oats. Okay, so first of all, Mendy's saying that he thinks that it doesn't apply only to wheat. He thinks it applies to all types of bread.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's right.
With the 10 fingers.
Yeah.
When you put the 10 fingers on the bread, it's supposed to be all types of grain. Okay. And Bikurim does not apply to that. Interesting. So he's saying, because so maybe it's talking about bread in general. Because my brother's saying that bread doesn't apply to anything other than wheat, because it only applies to the Shiva Saminim, to the 7 types of grain.
Wheat
7
is
types
not-
of fruit.
Hold on. So, okay.
7 types of fruit in Eretz Yisrael. Bikurim are only brought out of those fruits. But so therefore, this doesn't apply to anything else. But that's an interesting observation. Thank you, Mendy, for that. And then he says also the story of the laying eggs. I guess technically chickens can lay eggs without them being fertilized, but I guess they weren't having.
No. He's right. Chickens can lay eggs without.
Right. I'm saying I know that.
But those eggs will never hatch.
They'll never hatch.
They
Chicks.
will never be fruitful.
So there wasn't that they weren't laying eggs, but that they weren't hatching. They weren't having children.
Right.
And then the next comment is Tagin, that I guess maybe I didn't mention the word. The crowns in Hebrew, the crowns on the letters, they're called Tagin. I guess I didn't mention that, or maybe I did, and he mentioned this before. But whatever way is this, the crowns on the letters are called Tagin.
Hold on, I'm still stuck on the chicken and the egg. Hold on. I'll tell you what I mean by that. Think about it this way. If you think deeply in it, that urge that you have for a woman, it's perfectly normal because we have the evil inclination. We begin our life, or our whole spiritual side of everything begins with that, correct?
100%,
Now,
yeah.
So in other words, procreation is not possible unless you have the urge. So the same thing with the chicken. The chicken can create, but it's an empty vessel. So you need that extra, that evil inclination to be complete. You understand where I'm coming from?
So the evil, yeah, I do. But Adam and Chava were together.
Okay.
Before they sinned.
But it was fruitless. They had no children.
No. I don't. First of all, I don't know if that's true. But
what children did they have?
I think
the first 2 children he had was Cain and Abel, and then when he was 120 years old, then he had the Shem.
He had Shais. Correct.
Shem, right.
But what I'm saying is that the urge being a negative urge, or a urge that is not the wanting to be with a partner.
Okay.
Not necessarily has to be an evil urge. For example, tzaddikim. There are tzaddikim who have totally eradicated their Yetzer Hara, and they're doing it 100% l'shem shamayim. But for the average person, the incentive to get married has to come with a little bit of selfishness.
Of course.
So
we're not talking about just having physical attraction. Of course, you're supposed to have all types of attraction.
Right, but the physical attraction to a woman is coming from the animal soul. It's not coming from, meaning when a person is so ready to get married, what's helping with that a lot is the fact that he has a Yetzer Hara, he has an Nefesh Bahamas, he has, even if it's permitted, right, to be with your wife is permitted, but it's coming from a selfish place. Right, but it's selfish. It's not. People are not like. Not everybody's getting married. Even people who are getting married because they know it's the right thing, and they wouldn't, God forbid, have any contact or any, have any intimacy with a woman, if God said no. But they still, the urge to do so is a very great aid in getting married, right?
Right, but it's still an animalistic urge.
For sure. Well,
one way or another.
Well, I think
at the end of
there's
the day,
two. I think there's two. There's the connection part, and there's the want of the neshama to fulfill its obligation and to be connected to its partner, which I think if you tap into, you could feel. And then there's also the animalistic urge. But what I'm saying is that it's not. It's definitely a good and positive thing, because if harnessed and what's the word? Channeled correctly, which is what we're supposed to do.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
So my argument was animalistic or not animalistic, regardless of how you look at it, it still has to be there. We still need it to procreate and to move on with our lives.
Well,
Because think about it this way. When you go on a date, you take two resumes, you compare them, they're perfect for each other. But why are they going on a date? To see if there's an attraction. There has
Yes.
to be a physical attraction.
100% agree.
Besides being perfect for each other on paper, you have to see if you're connecting. You have
That's-
to connect. And you have to have that physical attraction. Otherwise, you're not interested. No matter how big of a chacham you are, and no matter what kind of a spark you see in her, you don't have a physical attraction. There's nothing else to talk about.
so that's what you mentioned.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if channeled the wrong way, then you're gonna be a monogamous guy going around looking for a beautiful face.
Well, not monogamous, opposite, but yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But what I'm saying
but-
but this is what you were mentioning about last week. We didn't mention it. We can mention it now. The idea of when you see your enemy's donkey under a load, you're supposed to help it. That refers also to who's your enemy? Your enemy is Yetzer Hara.
That's right.
You are not supposed to beat it down and let it suffer. You're supposed to, or you could say it's your animal soul. You're supposed to help it in the right way. So, meaning you can't ignore your Yetzer Hara because you're just going to create more problems, right? You can't ignore your problems.
You can't starve it completely. You have to feed it every now and then, so it's still
Exactly,
there.
but in the kosher way. So therefore, if you're going to marry someone who you're not attracted to, you're going to create more problems. So of course, you need to have that attraction in order to have a successful marriage. 100%.
100%, yeah.
And and in general,
I think that's what they meant metaphorically when they were talking about a chicken not laying an egg. It could still lay an egg, but that egg is going to be fruitless.
Yeah.
Meaning it's going to be an empty shell that is not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, 100%.
It's never going to be fruitful.
Yeah. Correctamente. Let's just see if...
Guys, we're not fighting. We're not arguing. Which one is looking at me? I don't even know.
Mendy, I'm sorry. I'm not reading... I am not reading your next comment.
What do you say?
Now you have to read it.
Now you have to read it, yeah.
Read it.
Come on.
No. Whoever wants, there's going to be a replay. You can read it. You have something to
Can
go.
I at least see? It's not fair. Which one is it?
No, it's not it's nothing bad. It's just I don't want to go into there. It's not like saying
Well, why can't you share that?
because I don't know.
Why not?
We're out of time. I'm just kidding.
Literally never ends.
That's the whole
But
point.
okay,
of
next
it.
comment. The regular person is more. One second. The regular person now is more nefesh bahamas than nefesh kiss. I think. Yeah, we're more animalistic. We're more in tune to our
Unfortunately,
physicality than we
yeah.
are to our soul. But we can still make a
Shouldn't be more
choice.
concealed, too.
Yes, but that doesn't mean that we can't make the choice to add God and spirituality into our life. That's, by the way, no joke. This is what the reason why I call this channel "Pray Hard, Play Hard" is because of that idea that you need to bring the spiritual into your play, into your everything else you do. That's what our job is to do. Anyway, Ilya, we have a long-awaited story that we're waiting for.
I'm empty. What are you talking about? That was it.
No, you said.
Well, what I was gonna say is, next person that comes into the shop, you better have a different Torah for me.
Nice.
Is that a
there's-
one-way street?
They said there's a story, like a Holocaust story.
Oh yeah, the whole story of the Holocaust. So it was basically what
Ilya told me that it ends off not happy, so therefore we're gonna end up on a happy note. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So it's semi-happy, I guess. So what he was dissecting there was how the world and how the people looked at Auschwitz and the whole Holocaust. Some people look at it.
Where were you seeing this?
In Zereshim Shon, it brings up a story about it. It says that there was a couple that became a big Chacham, opened his own huge yeshiva, had the merit to open a huge yeshiva in Europe after the Holocaust. And how they became a couple, if it wasn't for the Holocaust, they would have never found each other. The way it happened was, there was something going on that he was basically accused of stealing a soup. He stole a soup because he had to steal because he was dying
Right.
of hunger. It's Auschwitz. So the Germans caught him and they were supposed to teach him a lesson. So the lesson that they wanted to teach him was they basically assigned 25 lashes, and they beat him. And all of the 25 lashes that he took from them, and they were bloody.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very descriptive on how bloody it was and how cruel it was. But he didn't yell out.
Surprise.
Of course. He didn't yell out. He didn't give him the satisfaction for them to know that he's in agony. But on the last stroke, he yelled out, "Mama."
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
And
Wow.
when he yelled out, "Mama," on the other side of the camp was the woman's camp.
So how old is this person?
Probably in his early 20s.
Okay.
So it doesn't specify his age. It just says he was young man.
Okay.
He yelled out "Mama" in Greek, and a young girl in the other side of the camp heard this. And for some reason, she had this urge. She had to go there to the other side and nurse this man back to health. She just had this urge.
Wow.
She couldn't control it. She basically bribed the guard, somehow found a way to come in and basically nurse him back to health, help him out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he met his wife.
Wow.
That's how he met his wife, and that's how they survived Auschwitz. And years later, he became a very wealthy man, and he was merited to open a huge yeshiva in Greece.
Wow. That's an incredible story.
So what I'm trying to say is, no matter
what was this in connection to?
This was in connection. What he was dissecting was, it's all a matter of perspective. We all see things differently. For some people, something so bad like Auschwitz, like the Holocaust, brought two people together and made them prosper and made them come together, which wouldn't have been
because he
able
talks
to.
about the blessings and the
Right.
Okay, fine.
So you never know where your blessings come from. Sometimes your blessings come from the weirdest places, or from something that is, in his case, he thought it was a curse, getting lashes.
But is it talking about the idea that a curse can really be a blessing? Is that
Right. So
Okay.
it was talking about a matter of perspective and how we see things and how
Right.
we interpret things.
so like right? And
Sometimes we see something that is a curse, but it could be a blessing in disguise, like in this story.
correct.
So that's why we could never lose hope and lose faith. We got to keep going, and we see everything for a positive, in a positive light.
Right. There's the difference. Rabbi Kiva would say, "Kol ma da'avid rachmana l'tav avid." That everything that God does is for the good.
Mm-hmm.
And Rabbi and Nachum Ish Gamzu would say Gamzu l'teva, that even this is good.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is that no matter what, there's always, maybe we don't see it, but yeah, there's never ein ra yered milmaila, right? The bad can never come from above, and it takes a great deal of emunah to really live that way. But
To see the good in everything.
guys, we're gonna leave off with that. We keep up the faith. That's the moral.
That's right. Thank you very much for tuning in. Smash that like button. It's free. Hopefully you found our videos entertaining and
Inspiring.
informative.
You said entertaining? Sorry, there's a call coming. I got distracted by.
It's all right. It happens.
Yes, informative, entertaining.
That's right. That's right.
Like,
The war is
smash,
over. Yes.
subscribe,
Mm-hmm.
and give us your money because on Patreon. No, but I mean it, guys. No, for real. I wanted to say this takes preparation. This takes Ilya's time out of his day. He could be giving a haircut now, and he chooses to, give his time to me. And it takes preparation. It takes effort. It's equipment, and we want to keep doing this, bringing this to you. So if you could check out the link below for Patreon, it could really help us out. And have a beautiful week. Have a beautiful Shabbos. Yeah.
Good
Love you
Shabbos,
guys.
everybody. Come, say goodbye. Our guest appearance over here,
Good Shabbos, guys.
our new friend.
Have a
Say
Shabbos.
hello.
You know what? I have you challenged your next customer to have a share for you.
Okay.
I do have something. I don't know if you want to have it on camera.
Go for it.
All right, fine. I just want to see something. Hopefully I won't butcher it. It's not my own.
Come over here. Come to the camera. Come on.
It's not my own. What's it called? Thingy.
Come stand over here.
It's,
Yeah,
from
in the
this
middle.
Halakha
1 second,
Tzaddik.
here.
It's from this Halakha Tzaddik. He's a philosopher, rabbi, Kabbalist. His name is Rabbi David Aaron.
Okay.
You could check him out. You definitely should check him out. Basically, he is saying, like, he always had a question. When it comes to that part of the Torah where it says that Avram Avinu would bring people into his tent, and he would feed them, cool them off, everything like that. And at the end, he would tell them, okay, so now it's time to bench.
To bless my God.
And or you could pay, right? So Rabbi David Aaron, he always had a problem with this because, like, to him, it kind of seemed like, and to me as well, when I heard him say this, I also resonated with it. It kind of seems like blackmail.
Okay.
It's like either pray to God or pay.
Okay.
So people, of course, are going to say, like, okay, I don't want to pay. I'll pray to God. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But what really, and now Rabbi David Aaron, if you look in his book, he puts it down in a much more expanded way, and very, very nice. He's also really funny too, so that's very easy to read. But basically, in short, I'll try to put everything I remember that he said was, what Avram was saying really was, basically choose your reality. If you believe that you're in this world and everything is just, dog eats dog kind of world, then okay, fine, I just gave you some stuff, pay me for it. If you believe that all these blessings are coming from Hashem, then give thanks to Hashem. You know what I mean?
Oh wow! So
That's really powerful.
it's like choose your lifestyle.
Right.
Like choose one way of life, but you live it all the way.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would definitely recommend checking out Rabbi David Aaron. Amazing stuff. He has like a bunch of books. He has Endless Light, Seeing God. That was the first book I read by him, Seeing God. I actually made a shir. I made a shir in this yeshiva called Wilkes-Barre, and I would just read his books. I would just read his books, and I had a whole bunch of students who wanted to come read his books with me, and we would pass around the book and read
We got
it.
a Wilkes boy here.
Yeah.
Right.
It was really cool stuff. Shout out to Menachem Overlander. He was the biggest supporter of that group. He became actually, nowadays, he is a shliach in Australia. He's English, he's from London. But he's a shliach in Australia. He is making a aliyah. He's running an aliyah. You know aliyah that we have in Crown Heights?
Yeah.
He has an aliyah in Australia.
Yeah, I heard of that.
Wow.
Menachem Overlander, yeah.
Okay.
He was one of my, I wouldn't say my students, because I was just reading a book, you know what I mean? But he was so about that class, because like Uri, he's a shiva over there. He while we have learning time, he let me have this time to read this book.
Wow.
It was part of the program kind of thing. So yeah, it was really cool.
Shout out to Wilkes, baby.
Yeah, shout out to Wilkes.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. You know what? Take us out. Wish everybody good Shabbos.
That's right.
I wish you all. Well, first of all, let me just start off by saying I just walked into here. I did not know all this would happen. You know what I mean? I was coming for a haircut. You know what I mean? But I was blown away with the inspiration and everything over here. The love, like.
Of course.
Spread it. Share it to
I feel like I found a home here. You know?
Thank you.
Seriously,
You're
I'm not
welcome.
kidding at all.
You're
It's
always
amazing.
welcome.
I love this podcast that you guys do.
Thank you.
So special, honestly.
Step in whenever you want, man.
Thank you. I will. It's a Thursday thing.
It's normally Wednesday night.
Shkach apprentice right here. Apprentice right here. No.
That's why you got tired yesterday.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Wow.
Yatzar is doing its work.
You were a little grouchy on the phone yesterday, right?
I was?
Yeah.
I was so tired. Sorry, man.
It's my fault because I didn't want to do the online
Okay, guys.
profile.
Take us out. Wish everybody good Shabbos.
I wish you all an inspirational, an uplifting Shabbos.
Amen.
And you should be blessed like me to be around such Halakha Tzaddikim.
Amen. We are also blessed, man. Nice to have you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Amazing. Shabbos, everybody.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Let's go, man. Soon we'll be in